Hey, everybody. Welcome to QF, a podcast about Howard Stern. I'm Fillmore, your host, a.k.a. Jim Fix. And with me is Sam, a.k.a. QF 101, QF 100 News.
Ah,
How
oh
you doing,
man,
darling?
I would have loved to have that job back in the day, actually. That would have been fun when they were in the yellow jackets and could kind of get away with whatever, but, you know.
And the quote from, we just got a quote from Elegant Elliot. And the quote is as follows: Gangster style, right?
Did you hear about Elliot Offen? He was in the New York Post recently.
No, for what?
He had a hate crime against him. Two kids, it was caught on camera. They they started calling him the F word
Yeah.
and homo and all this other stuff. And then they threw some white liquid substance all over him
Okay.
and I guess socked him. So
Jesus.
he had a hate crime against him. Yeah,
Wow.
recently. I know. I feel so bad. You'd think like because he's kind of a staple that
Yeah.
people, it would be just like furniture at this
Yeah.
point in New York
Yeah.
City, seeing that guy run around.
Well, yeah,
But
he's in literally in tights and a muumuu or something, and he's running around town, and I mean
all the time.
In New York, isn't that just people like going, yeah, that's elegant. What do you want? Mister, it's Mister Offen. Leave him alone. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sad.
Jesus. Just hope hopefully it's not some setup and he's trying to make money off of the system. I don't know. Anyway, I
Holy
don't know how
shit.
you would.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Elliot's.
Okay. Well, guys, we haven't done a mailbag for a long time, hence why we're doing this. This is just a little bonus. The first one I'm going to read is from one of our archived Black Kluge level Patreon episodes, Bender Affleck Part One, which was one of two parts, and like I said, 5 hours of hilarity. I never had more fun taking apart an interview.
I saw on Reddit that people actually loved the interview. And I was like, do you guys love it
What?
for the fact that it's so funny that he's drunk or that Howard just let him rant? Like
Yeah,
I
really.
wasn't sure what really did they like about it, but they were praising the Ben Affleck interview. I liked it for the obvious reasons. He was
Yeah,
clearly intoxicated and Howard couldn't kind of control it.
couldn't speak.
Yeah,
So
it was it
this
was, awful.
this is from Wesley Moore. Oh my fuck! When you asked Raven to repeat the question and you'd answer as yourself, then again as Affleck, I about lost my fucking shit. Not only was it on point on how cokehead moves, but it was fucking hilarious. Beautiful show, my brother. Oh, and one more thing: when cokeheads are pulling flights, they tend to take Valium or Xanax in order to not feel like absolute dog shit when going down from that gold medal flower, or so I've heard. LOL.
I Yeah, I could totally see that. Just let me just stay up for this. I think a lot of celebrities have done that where they're like, let me just stay up through this because I got to do this Stern interview in the morning and then I'll go to bed right after.
I'm actually surprised that coke is still prevalent in Hollywood because I always thought I just tend to think that they're gonna as money and drugs change, they're gonna use higher quality stuff or things that are easier, like pills, like to get an
I,
effect.
who honestly, hangovers are so bad. Who has time to stay up all night and be coke hungover and that come down? Like
One of the most
I don't
amazing quotes about coke was from Robin Williams was interviewed by I think Barbara Walters ages and ages ago, maybe one of maybe the early '80s, and she asked him about John Belushi, who was obviously a
Oh yeah.
notorious cokehead and pretty much started um, NA. Because there was no Betty Ford back in the day, and he was one of the first
Oh wow.
high-profile drug casualties. And he said John was the type of person who, to get a laugh, would walk into a wall and then he'd walk into it again and again and again and still bounce back. So he says when you see someone like that get taken out by a drug, it makes you step back and review your life and go, maybe this isn't for everybody, and maybe it isn't for it's certainly not for me.
I
So
just
it
think
woke
with
a lot of people up.
age and with age too, you just dial back because life doesn't permit you to be in your 20s, your young
Hmm.
20s all the time. You just can't do it.
Yeah. And one's really short one, and congratulations to Gina LaPlaca, who's since become a mom. And we know that motherhood
Oh,
has taken her away from commenting, but we miss you. We know you're still listening when you get a chance, but hopefully the little one's not
Gina,
keeping you up.
I totally understand. You're like, what happened to my life?
Yeah.
It's a
So
good thing. and a crazy transition.
She posted, when Ben's answer overtook the saber dance, I literally cried laughing. Thank you for this Christmas miracle. So did we. Yeah, what you got, Sam?
Okay, so this one is from the Wah VH1 called me ugly. Wah.
Mm-hmm.
And JP Peltzman said, great sleuth work. Amazing how he didn't deny Cabby was there when he met Beef. But
Mm-hmm.
then Wigtron ditched him real fast.
Yes, and the story changed over time.
Yeah,
So
and
so Cabby was no longer there, and there's no reason to exclude him from the story except if there's some really freaked out reason why you need to edit him out.
yes, that's true. Omission and then quick cover up and let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
I also, people were asking, like, dig more into the Mercer kitchen. So
Yes.
I've tried so hard to find, I've Googled prostitution, Mercer kitchen, high-end hookers, Mercer kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
any review I can find. I can't really find any dirt on the Mercer
Mm-hmm.
kitchen so far, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
giving up.
Yeah, that was actually from a guy called Joseph Micharis. He says, great show as always. Can't wait for Sam to investigate the Mercer kitchen party further. She's really peeling the layers off this one. That party
I'm
seemed to
trying.
definitely seemed like some arranged weird catalog shit for creeps. The
It
one-stop beard
really
shop.
didn't it seem like, you know how, like, there's that Raya app for celebrities who date, like, it's an app. So it would be like Tinder but for celebrities. You have to
Okay.
be a celebrity to be on it or have a certain net worth or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Raya.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of imagine that you just took me into the woods. I kind I
That one
kind of
doesn't work. I gotta use the auditorium. Go ahead.
I kind of imagine that these Mercer kitchen setups are sort of like that. Like, you have somebody who's propagating this sort of dinner and having a certain clientele, and then he has, picks from a catalog of models or
Mm-hmm.
dancers
Yep.
or whatever sort of, floozy industry they're in,
Yeah.
and puts them together to have like a dinner party. Because
Well,
because in what world would Beth be going on a blind date and Howard Stern just happens to be there? That's not happening.
Well, you're absolutely right. It makes no sense. It just makes no sense. I mean, their whole fucking biography, their whole fucking story makes no sense. I mean, she's feeding him from a plate that doesn't come out until 15 years later, and he's eating off a plate, but he's supposed to be a germaphobe with OCD.
Restaurants run out of food.
Restaurant running out of food in New York. Okay, yeah, maybe if you're I don't know, a soup kitchen. Um, it just was baffling to me, and I go, why would you think you could get away with this? And I guess no one cares enough to dig deep.
Except for us.
Yep,
Um,
pretty much.
I really just, though, kept thinking to myself, in what world would there be a Ralph, a Howard, some South African guy, and some other randos and some catalog models all at a
Well,
dinner party?
yeah, the Mercer Kitchen thing makes no sense anyway in any incarnation of the story. So whatever we can do to find information about that, and I'll be looking up book indices, just to see if there's something about the Mercer Kitchen, because back in the day, Max's Kansas City, CBGB's, Mercer Kitchen, these were all um there was definitely some kind of scene at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And a lot of the reviews, they said, hot single chicks
right.
there all the time. So that's kind of that's
I mean,
notifying
right,
people it's a scene of some
right.
kind.
Just, yeah, hookup scene. But the thing is also there's such a shelf life for things in New York City that when they end, like that place Spa they used to go to in the early
Yeah.
2000s, and then they have a shelf life, and when they end, all of a sudden it's almost like they never existed.
Yeah. A lot of those hot clubs too and restaurants, and as high as they get so quickly, they fall
Yes.
precipitously bad and sometimes in a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah, like Scores. And Scores is a whole that could be a whole episode, but I'm just not well versed enough in it, and I
Uh,
have to. When they a lot of times when they would talk about their Scores experiences, I tuned out back in the day because I didn't give a shit. A lot of it was just over like the same shit over and over again.
Well, like, much like this, the Scores thing, I like how tales are recanted over the years, like they're retold. And so each time Howard tends to retell stories, whether it be Scores or the Mercer Kitchen,
Sure.
they always vary slightly, or sometimes new details, or sometimes something's completely different about it. So
Right.
I think if you put all of those together, you really get a picture that something isn't right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What have you got next?
Okay. Next one. I'm sorry, because I just did this last one, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. All right, so the next one's going to be from Oh Captain, Go Fuck Yourself, Captain.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's Jay Horvath,
Mm-hmm.
who says, Howard is the type of dickhead that says, quote, I gave you airtime to help you, end quote. Also, Gary is likely the type of scumbag that would throw him to the wolves to keep the spotlight off him.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true. And yes, Howard has spent most of his career thinking airtime means money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the early 90s anymore, but somehow plugs, he still thinks like paying in plugs.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that was the So Long Farewell Part One we did of Sussy. That and then the two-parters, and I don't know that people realize there is a part two unless they've listened on other media, because the YouTube hits for the second part are really nothing compared to the first one, and I'm sure they do. It's just they've decided I'll listen to the rest, because if I keep looking at this asshole talk like this, I'm gonna fucking shoot my computer screen.
Yes, when we drive a point home, it's purposeful because, we really want to make that point.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that from the same episode, I'm gonna because I when I just try to keep these episodes together. HK Finn 83. I pinned his response because it was excellent. He writes the elephant in the room, not Robin, as always from these issues around Howie lecturing from on high from his position of quote success is unmentionable as usual. Howard grew up in the 70s when an average communications graduate could find themselves in a 100K a year job in radio in 70s money with his eyes closed. The world isn't like that anymore. Howard doesn't know that because he's a completely uneducated 79 IQ baby boomer, utterly oblivious to the fact that he fell upwards at every juncture of life. So fucking true. So
I
goddamn
love
true.
that's so poignant because he really doesn't see that. And he
No,
really thinks that his success is just this, you know, pull it up by the bootstraps and I did it all myself.
he's the equivalent of, let's say, a movie star like Jim Carrey only had one really mega hit, but that mega hit sold like $1 billion worth of tickets. Then he bombed like bomb after bomb after bomb. He wouldn't see the bombs. He would only see that's the equivalent. Howard's seeing his money equals the success. Like he believes the money dictates his talent, and it's the complete opposite. I
You
mean,
could
as
tell
much
he
money as
feel
he has, the least talent he has, the less talent
yeah,
he has.
it's true. You could see that too when he did the 2012 when he got the lawsuit tossed out. That
Hmm.
for him was like an atom bomb. Like,
Oh yeah,
no, the judge is not siding with this argument that these subscribers over at XM now coming over here are your listeners. They just happen to be a part of this merger.
that's right. And it continues here. In his petty view of life, young people are feckless dilettantes. Never mind the fact that they live in a completely different world and economy. If this kid had a cushy job and was already set for life, I'm sure this decision he took would have been more difficult. It wasn't a hard choice because he had already gotten his dream job and realized it was going nowhere. This is far too subtle to ever sink into how he's Tony Robbins' view of life. God, he's awful. I hope a millennial trans activist pushes him down the stairs.
That would be so perfect. Could you
Oh,
imagine him imagine the first time he comes out from Castle Gay Skull after COVID or whatever, and he's
mhm.
walking down the street with Beth a and a trans person just beats him to death like his first time out. I would
Would it
just,
be a story you'd laugh at because they have to mention
oh my
this
God, I'd be thrilled.
right? Okay, well, I
Because
mean,
because not only is it sweet revenge for
yes,
Tula
karma.
and what's her face? The guy that he always called the girl
Oh, Nicole Bass.
Nicole Bass. So
Yeah,
not only is it like, and all the trans bashing that he did over the years.
Oh,
Fine.
shitloads. Yeah, yeah.
Now you're going to die at the hand of one of them your first time out of the house.
That would be just it would be karmic retribution, I think. The one next one, I'll pick one because I realized we're going one for one. Baba Booey's Feast Part One, and we've got Part Two is out. We actually have Part Three recorded, and we still need to do Part Four, which is the Beth call. So when it will, we'll definitely put that one together as soon as we can, and release Part Three. Jay Horvath again. He is a great poster. I believe that Artie was the person that ruined, quote, the party for Howard. Howard was pissed and hyper-focused on Artie being late. He felt hosts slash guests catered to slash enabled him being late. At one point, he called Artie Mr. Life of the Party. Pure jealousy. It's clear from Artie's tone he feels the need to passionately defend himself.
Yeah. I mean, Artie doesn't always have to be the life of the party, and he isn't in a lot of cases, but he can socialize normally, which I guess in Howard's view, that's the life of the party. Just being able to socialize.
And sorry, one I forgot for the sussy one that you mentioned was from Moth. He said, he wrote, "You don't expect me to pay you to ride your bike. Howard, you don't even pay your staff enough to eat."
I know. They're living in shitholes and terrible. All right. So this one is from the 15 Foundation saga.
Which episode?
The part 9. Part 9.
Okay.
So Soma said, "You guys are so spot on. Robin is 100% narcissistic egomaniac. She was a talentless hack. She, like Howard, could do nothing else in their lives. The thing is, they didn't have to do anything else, but due to their narcissistic pathology, they thought they actually had skills to do other things."
Yes.
So true.
Spot on. And again, it's the reason why I was thinking about doing the Howard appearance on Magic just as a breakdown, because we always said we were going to do like every single Letterman appearance he did and cover it and do like a series on them because they're so painfully unfunny and they get worse as he gets older. That's going to be our
next like 15.
Maybe,
yeah.
Think? Well, yeah. I mean, they're only 8 minutes long, 10 minutes. Like they're not that long, but if you stitch them together, it could be incredible. But I think that with that particular. That every time he was on a talk show, he's like, I should be the host. What am I doing as a guest here? And Robin is the same way. As soon as she started getting on shows, she felt like I should have one of these shows, thinking that she could do that job, but she can't. They're both unlikable.
They're unlikable. They're not curious. And they really, outside of the show, they don't really they're not magnetic. You don't really care what they have to say. The environment makes them what they are in that really specific only place. Otherwise, even the live shows were crap.
Well, yeah, they were. Did you remember how many was it? It was Vegas that they used to do all the time, those birthday shows. And you were like, I always remember you saying none of those shows were any good.
No, you could. I hated when they went to Vegas
because
it was always just crap. It wasn't good because I want to hear about what's going on with their personal lives, and you have to be in a certain environment. And I don't want to hear, it's not interesting for me to hear a girl stripping.
Yeah, or a live crowd like screaming because who cares? Yeah, it's not a Cheap Trick album. On the same Sussy episode, guys, I'm going back just because I have these. Sometimes I pick multiple comments. Kelsey Walsh. Wiggy is all about, quote, success because he doesn't have looks, friendships, or happiness. When his viewership started tanking, he took the fun out, sealed the compound, made it more corporate, and went for A-list guests. He clearly tried to subsidize his lack of listeners with an outwardly impressive appearance, even down to the security detail. He's jealous of this kid's youth, sense of freedom, and probably his sad heterosexuality. Anyways, great episode.
I like the end. Anyway. All right.
Anything else, Robin?
That was good. Okay. Appreciate that. Okay, so this one's from Gary's Dinner Party from Al W. Howard claims about being hungry gets contradicted about him complaining about the appetizers making him too full. Also, doesn't Howard take a nap after each show to meditate? So how the heck is he so sleepy? Yeah, we know.
He needs to get Sarno. You think about Sarno to help with his, if he can visualize the tiredness away, it shouldn't be a problem.
That's right. Just wish it away.
Wish
Right
the
out your limo
exhaustion.
window.
Yeah. I got some from the episode of Bob Saget. What about me? Which was again a really tough episode to record, but I think it was essential to get out there. C.A. Thompson, one of our faves. Robin is still a pretty stellar narcissist, as she made her telling of the text with Kimmel about Bob be focused on her. Kimmel told her Bob was really excited to have that dinner with you. Nothing about what it meant to her. In her telling, Bob was lucky to be in her presence. Her and Wiggy are so vile. It was a point that it completely escaped me, and you're right, C.A. Thompson.
Yeah,
So,
that is true.
yeah. And another person on the same podcast, on the same show, and this was, of course, released on, I think we released it every single way we could, except on YouTube because we didn't want the shitty edit. Ray. Bob Saget played at a small comedy club in Birmingham in April of 2017. It was the day after Rickles passed away. He did a small, touching tribute and then followed it up with one of the best, if not the best, stand-up acts I ever saw. He got a standing ovation at the end, and it seemed like he was really taken aback by it. He was a really great show, and it really solidified my impression of him. I know a lot of people describe him as nice, but I think that's an understatement. He was really kind, humble, and selfless. Just one of a kind. It's a goddamn shame Howard's eulogy quote said nothing positive about him. Great breakdown, though. Enjoyed the show.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, his eulogies usually just say nothing positive
Mhm.
about people, except for
Yeah.
if they're a musician he wants to fuck.
Yeah, totally.
So, all right. So this one is still from Gary's dinner party. It's from Done One.
Okay.
I'm a new subscriber, and your channel is great. Good audio levels and proper modulation. Thank you.
Mhm.
I love Sam and how passionate she gets. Love a woman with a mouth like a sailor. LOL. I just had to say that was so sweet. So, thank you very much. You're fucking the best.
The same episode I was the Saget one, there's another one down below from Pam, who says, like the previous person Sam read from, Pam said, I'm a new sub and I'm catching up with past posts. After listening to a post of randomness that included HS dressing in drag after trashing Jennifer Aniston's pic, your guest co-host talked about it was me actually. Your guest co-host talked about a guy who broke into homes and stole women's clothes, then that led to murdering women. Coming off that and hearing right away this post that Dr. Bob said that the mask is almost completely off gave me the chills. It's like the movie The Fly when the last piece of human skin falls away from the face
Yes.
and the true beast is seen by everyone.
Oh my God, what a perfect analogy. Our listeners are
Yes.
so smart, and I love that they have references like The Fly. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the Jeff Goldblum version, not the original one with Vincent Price, which still might be one of the creepiest
Fave.
and most amazing endings of any movie ever.
When you're a kid and you see that movie, it
Oh,
fucks you up for days.
for days, yeah, completely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the Howard, The Truth Lies Within, part 5. It's from
Yeah.
Benny. It's from Benny A. He says, guys, yet again, enough with the rabbit hole conspiracies. Howard is not gay. Because Lou was his roommate? Every fucking kid wants to go to school and bunk with familiar faces. So if a woman did the same, are they bi or a lesbian? You're
Yes.
17 when you get your acceptance letter. You are young as fuck. College is intimidating. Yes, he was jealous of Lou, but that's it.
This kid has just discovered the channel and is a big, huge apologist and does not believe the gay thing. And I'm fine with that. I have no problem with people who don't believe it, but I also know that people don't know how to add. They have problems, with basic arithmetic.
I choose to see that these people who are not believing us in this or don't see it for themselves, like we can say what we want, but from all the material we provide, if you are putting on these blinders to this, I don't know. it's
You're
you
not
are
dealing with a
trying
full deck.
you're trying not to see your dad's drunk on the floor again. He's not sleeping. You're
Yeah.
trying not to see that your mom's covering up a black eye. I mean,
Hmm.
this is just what I feel like is happening when people
Yeah.
really are not listening.
Listen, we've provided copious amounts of evidence that he's wearing a wig, at least on the Facebook page, and that he's basically bald as a jaybird. But people still believe it's not a wig, and
Well,
some people believe the sky is green in the world they live in. That doesn't make it so. And if we're providing empirical sort of data that if you put it together, I don't know how you could see it a different way. I just don't. And yes, we have a couple people don't believe he's gay because in Bob's case, he believes it's he does it. He's not the type of person that can have a concrete sexuality. It's all about deviance. So if gay happens to be deviant, that's it. That's for him. And then if scat happens to be deviant, that's for Howard. And if golden showers is deviant, well then that's what he wants too. So it's not as cut and dried as him being gay. It's just whatever is in his mind taboo. But we're going to go into that in a whole other episode, and Bob can
and
speak for himself.
and Bob proves that deviant point too, because if you think about, remember when he was having Gary and everybody watched that one porn that he liked so much, and it was that torture porn,
Yeah, yeah,
and it
yeah.
is the most reprehensible porn I've ever seen.
Right.
Now, I can go for fucking kinky shit, fine. This was not that. This was
No,
literally like watching the movie Saw. It was not porn.
it was
It
not
was
sexual.
No, it was torturing women. It
Right.
was literally putting their breasts in like bear traps and shit. It was horrible.
Well, either way,
And the gay
if you,
stuff, you
yeah,
can't,
if you're
you
listening to
can't.
you listen to our entire 100 plus episodes and you still think he's straight, then whatever you're taking to make you see things that way, tell me what it is, because I'd love to be able to just shut my mind off to things.
And sometimes it takes just an obvious voice to say things. Like, for example, we've been saying the wig thing for a long time, but it takes a long time for people to catch up with what we're saying and they don't really believe it, or they're like, yeah, I'm not sure. And then
Yeah.
it takes somebody like Jimmy Dore and Tucker Carlson to just straight out say, and that wig, like with not even missing a beat, and he just flat out says he's wearing a wig.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, why am I trying to see something like real hair when it's
Yeah.
so obvious that
Right.
there's a wig staring at me?
Right. Well, and the other thing is, Molly Miskelly, who's one of our longtime supporters, and we love her, but I posted on Patreon the link to Howard dancing the AGT thing that got cut out because of whatever reason, and I couldn't allow it. So I said, fuck it, I'm going to upload that. So I uploaded it to um, I uploaded it to Patreon, and
Mhm.
she said, I was on the fence, but I'm officially with you guys. He's totally gay. Sorry. Gay and disgusting. Not gay equates disgusting. It's not gay is disgusting. He's gay and he's disgusting into scat stuff. So they're not,
And into
you know,
young twinks.
oh, Christ's sake. And this goes right into it. This is a comment from Tula. We hardly knew ye, which is an episode with one of my favorite laughing jags that I didn't have any words, and Sam started laughing. It might be the favorite moment. That frenetic, this is from Tom D. That frenetic energy Howard had when he was trying to get Tula naked. OMG. He'd clearly been fantasizing about it for a while and was just overwhelmed with that excitement and nervousness. Wow. And good for her in calling his bluff. Doubt she ever intended to get naked, but he ruined any shot of that with constant talking and not knowing what to do. I know I'd be completely turned off if I was a woman. Yeah, and apparently if you were a man that became a woman, or a woman that was
Any
born a man and, had chromosomes a little aligned in such a way that you felt you were a woman.
anything anything that's not a rock would
Yeah,
be just turned off.
yeah. What you
Okay.
got?
This is from Wiggy Dearest. It's from Bob Marley. He said, to be fair, the Stern fans would have hated whoever Howard introduced as his new girlfriend. The show bred and attracted hateful fans, which is why any sort of online forum was full of toxicity and hate. They would
Right.
have hated Beth or any other woman, regardless of how she was introduced. So, in that, I will say, I think fans would have been critical. There would have been some hate just
Sure,
because of
residual.
the natural. He's right about how the fans were, but it was overwhelming because specifically how he rolled out that horse.
Yes, and then how she appeared when she finally did appear more regularly, and the fact that he talked her up saying she didn't want to be famous. Meanwhile, he's trying to crowbar into all these projects. I mean, the narrative didn't fit what you were being told and what was actually happening. Don't piss in
He
my fucking face and tell me it's raining.
exactly. He rolled her, he made her seem almost Grace Kelly-esque, like this
Yes,
picture of culture,
right.
elegance, beauty, and then you get, Lucille Ball drunk. You're just like, what? This isn't what I asked for.
Yeah, and by the same logic, then we all were gonna hate Artie for not being Jackie. We were all going to hate whoever he
That's
replaced so and
true.
so with. No, that the logic makes that logic only works in that sense because people loved Allison so much. If they didn't think anything of Allison, they wouldn't have cared who he brought in. But they loved her so much. There's a segment that absolutely would have said, "Well, fuck her. She's the one that fuck Beth. She's just a floozy or whatever." But again, it's totally in how he introduced her and how they built her up. And then when she did come on, she had an unlikable quality to her and still does.
It's also because of the divorce too and how that all felt shady to us.
Oh
It
yeah.
was never explained properly. And, you know, he was a father too. So it felt like all of a sudden that family aspect of his life that we got so much information about just disappeared.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then it became the Beth show. So it's like you traded your kids in for this dumb ox. Like,
Yep.
what?
This comment is from Pelican Cockblocks Baby Gorilla Part 2 on Patreon. Sean Sibber says, this is a hard one to listen to because Howard is so vile. I swear I've been listening in 15-minute increments because I get so annoyed and pissed off at this El Pelicano cocksucker. Um, that was him blocking Howard Artie from doing Beer League. He was saying, I need you on the show and blah, blah, blah. Me and Bob broke that down and it was tough to listen to. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, like most things he does. Okay, so this one's more recent. This is from our Gilbert Godfrey tribute that we
Yeah.
just did.
Yeah. Rest in
Um,
peace, Gil.
yep, this is from Dinosaur Prince. It's an interesting name. I like it. Okay. It says, got me at the ending. Had to break out the Kleenex. Gilbert was the best. He with Artie always had me in tears. The world will never be the same without him. Thanks for doing this one, guys.
Well, we're glad you enjoyed it, and we're sorry if we caused tears as well as tears from laughter as well as from sadness. But a lot of people crossover that we got it from the Gilbert page and the Artie Superfans page because I knew it was heavily with Artie as well. So it's kind of a tribute to both of them as
You
well.
know,
A lot of
yeah.
people listened for the first time and said, love it, absolutely loved it. So hopefully you guys tune into the more hate filled stuff because this is only the second time we've done sort of tribute show, the first being for Norm. And that was a lot of fun because Norm got to be
Yeah.
Norm.
I really love the clips that were curated. It was a fearless set of clips, I thought, which was perfect for Gilbert because Gilbert's fearless.
Hmm.
And uh, I really got great feedback from everybody, not just our fans who are regulars. So that was fun. And I also think that it's good to sometimes take a minute to do it right, you
Yeah.
know?
And not talk over every clip and think you're funnier than Gilbert and try to and laugh hysterically cackling into the mic and make the tribute about you and not really make a tribute at all, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that would be terrible. I don't know who would do something like that.
Okay. This this comment is from another Patreon exclusive episode, Stupid Trek 2, The Wrath of Pawn. That's the one where Deborah and I covered Robin going on Jeopardy and fucking up. Amanda Brown, and we miss you, Amanda. Hope you come back soon. She's been AOL. She's been absent AWOL
Oh
for a while,
yeah,
so
where has
yeah.
she been?
Not sure. That PM Dawn reference. I love Robin bashing. Like Fillmore said, anytime you try to feel sympathy for Robin, she ruins it. I never got the vibe Robin is bisexual or a lesbian. I think she became completely turned off to men eventually, especially after being played by that con artist Brendan. She never wanted children, neither do I. Some people realize they aren't meant to be in a relationship for whatever reason. Maybe you enjoy your space too much, or you become disillusioned with the naive idea of finding your quote soulmate. Cue OJ sound effect. It happens. It's a great idea. It's a great idea to do an episode about Dr. Ronnie. I'm enjoying this. You and Deborah have really soothing voices. Hee hee. Okay, so thank you, Amanda. And like I said, don't be a stranger. If you come back, shout it out loud. But and Deborah, hopefully we'll get into recording again. She got busy in life, and
It
I'm not
happens.
sure. Yeah,
It happens.
yeah. So when she does, you guys will hear about it.
I will say though, I did used to think Robin was a lesbian, but I just think now she's an insufferable cunt. And like I don't really think of her. I really think she's got some sort of histrionic personality where she's so impossible
Yep.
that she blocks herself out from being able to be in a relationship, man or woman.
Mm-hmm. What you got next?
I don't really have anything next.
Okay, I have a couple more. Okay, I have a couple more left.
You do more.
Okay, this one's from the one you and I did of the Prince, the Dark concert.
Oh.
Forever in My Lie. This is on Patreon as well.
The imagery, the whole thing.
Yeah, this is from Ken McKenna. My favorite part of this episode is towards the end where JF and ST tee off on that Dick Patton Oswald. I wish you guys could find a way to do more pop culture commentary, maybe semi-true crime or something. I would like to as well, and if we do something like that, like a spin-off or something of that nature, things of that nature, you understand. It will, when we do it, they'll be well researched and hopefully entertaining. So if you guys want more of that, please say in the comments. And it would be separate in terms of how I would delineate it, maybe on another channel or on Patreon with a special designation. But yeah, we eventually will be doing stuff like that.
If we get good feedback and you guys want something like that, because we are very versatile, wouldn't you say, Fillmore?
Oh, yeah.
I do think it would be interesting, but I don't know if we want to have it with this or something separate entirely.
Yeah,
we'd have to plot it out, but I would like the feedback on what you think about something like that. Once in a while, though, I don't mind throwing something in, like we said about the Alec Baldwin stuff.
Yeah. Especially if it's friend of the court related. And that way I like, if it was the Natalie Maines, I'm not interested in the Dixie Chicks, but if there was some scandal involving her, we definitely give it a shot, because why not? She's featured so prominently on the show. And then you want to gauge what's the reaction going to be like from the show when somebody steps in shit. That's a friend of the court. This is from It's the Great Fagula, Charlie Brown, from Patrick J., one of our great posters. I actually have a theory. I also on why Howard is never going back to the studio. I think it's the reason Gary and others sold their houses. Howard can't walk anymore. Something is clearly wrong with him.
What?
His walking ability has been on the decline. He can't use steps with the human cane, Beth holding his hand. He doesn't want as many people in the staff knowing and watching him walk. He might use a wheelchair at home. I don't think it's this extreme, but I definitely think he doesn't want people seeing him hobble around as the new someone came up. It's almost I still have more to read, but someone came up on the latest live chat. New nickname for him, Sloucho Marks.
That was me. I think
no,
yes.
you got Houcho.
Houcho. Sloucho's better.
I think they're both good, but Sloucho makes sense on so many levels. Another clear indication of it is all his talk of going on walks or runs. He's trying to put it out there that on the show a lot, because he clearly can't do that. Look at how in the Seinfeld coffee show, they barely show him walking, maybe a few steps and an edit. He's hiding something. His walking ability has been on decline for years. He's not going to go to the studio as everybody watches him barely be able to shuffle around. You're never going to see him out in public again. I think this is a fantastic theory.
Patrick, you are brilliant. You are brilliant, because I always wondered what the fuck is going on with the Ellen stage when he was
Mm-hmm.
walking off that step. Now, people said it was because of depth perception in his eyes. But if you think about what he just said with the comedians in cars getting coffee, how we rarely see him on red carpets with Beth at all before
Mm-hmm.
COVID
Mm-hmm.
and walking around in general. He doesn't jog in the city anymore. You never see him walking around the park anymore in paparazzi shots. He is totally onto something.
And I think that was, and pre-COVID even, there was a definite, um, there was a definite cessation of that activity.
Well, could you imagine what his bones are like with that kind of height and nutrition? And it's just got to be like, you
Like
know,
he never talks about eating dairy, like cheese, milk, ice cream, nothing. Like
yeah.
Robin's.
What is your calcium intake?
Yeah, as opposed to Robin, who probably has bones like lead pipes at this point, with all the fucking ice cream she's eating, the friendlies. But anyway, I've got a few more that you can share with me. This next one is from the Norm Macdonald tribute show. And this is
Mhm.
from Dorema 2. I gasped when I saw the news. I remember watching the Norm show as a kid and being disappointed when it got canceled. Not only was he effortlessly funny, but he always had such an aura of good energy around him, just so likable with those twinkling eyes that exuded joy and having an inside joke. I was surprised to find out he grew up in Quebec City, just north of us here in Montreal. Always thought that he was from the Maritimes for some reason. Another Canadian legend gone. May he rest in peace. I believe he will. He will because he stayed true to himself the whole way through here on Earth. Yes, and Darima, I agree with you. Yeah, he doesn't have the sound. He doesn't have an accent, Quebec accent, but a lot of people don't. It's true. So not sure how
Yeah.
that was possible, unless he lost it or worked hard to get rid of it. Who knows?
Yeah. He was, and what she said is so true. And I, he will rest in peace. He lived very genuinely.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And he
This is
does have that twinkle in his eyes.
always when he'd always like there'd always be some joke somewhere in it, and he could not be funny. And the rare times he was serious was about, let's say, when he was doing a tribute for Remembrance Day, and he tweeted like a 40-part tweet series on a
I
veteran, and I think it was a World War I story, and it was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen on Twitter.
actually, Norm was great on Twitter.
He
Before I
was.
got kicked off, I I remember Norm. I used to really like his Twitter because when he said something, it
Hmm.
was important to Norm and it was very thoughtful and intelligent and sometimes funny. He was great.
Hmm. Yeah, and then the other one from the same episode from Natalie Panaro Stack. We also miss you, Natalie. I'm not sure where you've. We don't see your posts so
Oh,
much anymore. I don't know I hope everything's okay. I was so sad and surprised to hear we lost a comedic genius. Norm was always the funniest guy in the room. He also didn't buckle. He never compromised in his comedy because of an agenda. He also stuck up for people when it wasn't kosher to do so. That's worth its weight in gold to have a friend like that. I'll end with just one of his funniest jokes. When OJ was acquitted for the double homicide of Nicole and Ron, he said on Weekend Update, "Well, murder is now legal in California." ROFL. Rest in peace, Norm. That's a great
that
line.
was one of that was one of my favorite Norm moments too. He was
Hmm.
so great. And he got kicked off Saturday Night Live for, railing on that murderer.
Oh yeah, yeah, big time. This is from Wiggy Dearest Part One. John Dalton says, and I've said this before. I think it's pretty clear. Howard has talked about the special relationship he had with his mother. There was a line of communication between them that was sacred, and Howard valued it. His mother at times would punish him by cutting off that line of communication, and that was greatly painful for him. Remember when he was talking about the song with the lyrics "Locked Out of Heaven," the Bruno Mars song? He specifically stated that there were times when his mother would become cold and remote with him, and that he felt, quote, locked out of heaven. Couple that with what he's talking about here. He would express admiration for someone, and his mother would quickly explain to him why he was mistaken to admire this person. In fact, the opposite of what Howard liked about this person was true, according to Ray Stern. Now, think about how Howard was for much of his radio career until about 2010. Think about the 80s and 90s when basically the host show was Howard explaining to us why other popular media figures were phony or bad people or not what we thought they were. Johnny Carson,
Oh.
Oprah, Regis with his flipper-footed son, Phil Donahue, Rush Limbaugh, and so on. What Howard was doing was recreating the relationship his mother used to have with him, but with us as the audience, as him. and only in this case, Howard was his mother, and we were Howard. Each day, a huge portion of the show was dedicated to Howard explaining to us why he was the only media figure worth following. He was the only honest one. Much like his mother would do to him, she was the only good mother. She was the only role model, and Howard was spectacularly successful at it. I was 17 in 1987, and I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I believed that Regis was phony and that Howard was better than Phil Donahue because Phil left his wife for Marlo and Howard stayed with Allison. First, as you get older, you start to realize Howard is no better and in many cases worse than these other media figures. Howard basically knew at some point the jig was up, so I think he meant the gig. The gig was up, so that when he started to quote evolve,
No, it's
Ray
the jig.
Stern's the jig.
That's
Oh, the jig. I've heard it. I've heard.
It's
I've
an
heard it.
American saying.
Yeah, I've heard it both ways. So when he started to evolve, Ray Stern's codependent, dysfunctional relationship with her son, plus Steve Dahl, plus Jackie and Billy, equals Howard Stern's success from 1983 to 1999. Totally. Yeah.
That is fucking brilliant.
Yes, it is. And we've done 2 episodes so far of Wiggy Dearest, and we could probably go on for ages, although they will get shorter and shorter because we can only take so much of Ray.
Yeah, it's hard to record those. And when you listen back to them, they're a lot better than the memory of recording them. Like you're just, you're slowly killing yourself during those.
Just a bit. Now, this is one last one, and a couple last ones, actually, from the same episode, How You Say Friends of the Court, by Sunshine12341000. So funny and true. Sam, spot on about the Baldwins. I hope you guys cover more on them. They've totally conned the public for 10 years. They have victimized so many. Lots of material to cover. Fillmore. Fovero que sas dio se para calor na cante Baldwins pali. Basically said, great job, you two. Please do more Baldwins. And I think that we've been planning to do a coverage of the roadside video, which I have, and also the interview he did with Stephanopoulos, which is still I think it's gold. I think you could analyze that thing to doomsday.
Not to mention the Stephanopoulos interview just got contradicted this week because the police interrogation interview says the opposite. So he says he shot the gun. A bunch of details that he said in that interview do not match the interrogation room interview. Yep. So, and plus that fucking mental maniac known as Hillary is pregnant again, or pregnant in quotes, because she probably has another surrogate and faking it with that moon bump of hers.
Well, either way, we are definitely going to do some type of follow-up to that, and it'll all be about that. I'm not sure how we're going to release it, but
I think we kind of innately knew shit was going to roll downhill even further. So just to let's see what happens for a little bit longer. And I'm glad we did, because a lot has happened.
Oh, shitloads. And again, unfortunately, that one channel, what was it called? Hillary's Grift?
Yeah, I know she got taken off.
Yeah, and who knows if there's something that's replaced it, or if it's come up as Hillary's Grift 2 or whatever. That story fascinates me to no end because of how many layers are involved in it, and the lines that have since come out that we've talked about. Raven and I've talked about it. Sam and I discuss also, like, every time there's a good one, we share it, and it's amazing.
It even more odd is, so a couple weeks ago, these accounts called Family Baldwin and CF Baldwin popped up on Instagram just out of nowhere. They're all in Spanish, okay? And they claim to be huge fans of the Baldwins and Hillary. The first people who followed them were Alec and Hilaria. So where do you think these came from? They're them. They're not. Yeah. So they're posting collages of their children and them like every day or something. And oddly enough, you'd think like you'd be smart and just ignore it. No, Hillary and Alec have been promoting these fan accounts. What kind of weirdo? If somebody online in Spain decided to make a fan account of my daughter, I wouldn't promote it. I'd be like, what kind of creeper are you?
That's a little too beyond the pale. Yeah. Well, it's almost like taking a screenshot, copy and pasting things in a live chat, and then posting them in your channel to make it seem as though you actually have people commenting, because you're desperate, but they all come from the same account. It's pretty amazing when that happens. Or when you quote yourself in an online forum and respond to yourself as yourself.
That's just so mentally fucking ill.
Anyway, guys, you don't need to. If you don't, those who know, those who know, and those who don't wish they did. That's all I'll say about that. At any rate, thank you guys so much for the continued support. We love you. I'm taking a week off of recording to get some much needed R&R, but we have lots of stuff in the can, and we know you guys are going to appreciate it. We're definitely going to take some great deep dives. We have access to an archive with all video shit from ages and ages ago, and I've got so much. Kayla and I just covered the silent treatment Robin gave Jackie. It's a 15-minute clip,
Oh.
and it's we put it together. It's fantastic. I can't wait for you guys to see it. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be Patreon only, so get on that for sure.
Oh,
And
Patreon is so much fun. I
yeah,
love it.
oh yeah,
It's
and you can't get it. You won't be able to get enough. When you'll be binging it, it'll be just getting that box of donuts, and you think, just one more.
well, I love the variety. We have such great fans who are so intelligent and funny and
Hmm.
creative and analytical. It's really awesome.
Yeah. So you guys, YOLO, you honor us. Um,
And we love you and appreciate you so much.
that's right. We're not going to piss on you, and we're not going to destroy your eardrums with our audio quality. So God bless you guys. Take care. Stay safe. Have a great weekend, and we love you.
Bye, guys.